Good morning. This video is for my friend Micah Dank. I just wanted to get on here and share some ideas because he's been asking me to do so for a while. The only reason why I haven't done that is because I see there's a lot of videos on YouTube and TikTok and books are everywhere. Just a lot of people. If you're into these topics, you're going to find the information. And I just never really found a way to come at it with a new approach to get everybody's attention. However, I do want to share a story with everybody since he has been asking me. And I had a conversation with a guy at work the other day, and we was talking, and he was like, "Well, I believe like this," and I was like, "Well, first of all, if we're gonna talk, we fuck a belief. We're not gonna do that. But we're not doing the belief thing. We're gonna know something, so we're gonna approach it with some knowledge and some facts." I said, "So we're not doing beliefs," and he says, "Well, I do believe Jesus is a real person, but he says." A lot of other stuff he said I don't know about. He says, but I do believe in the energy, and I do believe we're connected to everything. He said, the but in the Bible, there's just no proof of that. And my mouth dropped. And I said, if you want to look for a proof of science in the Bible, you don't have to look any further than the Star of David itself. I said, if you go to the preface of your Bible, it gives a description of God. These people never studied it. They just never looked at it. I said, but it says that he takes a tetragrammaton, a triangle. I said, and there's four letters inside this triangle. And if you do the geometry on these four letters, I said, it's 72. But we know because of the Star of David, this is only one of the polarities. So if you add the other triangle, you get another 72, which is 144. Physics today has a model called the 64 star tetrahedron isotropic matrix, which is everything in the physical realm or existence. In the Bible, we're told that 144,000 people go to heaven. If you get 60 times 24, what do you get? Like you start seeing these patterns, these numbers come out because it's all in do with time and space and all this. And I was trying to tell him that it's all has to do with energies and the way that the ancients kept track with time. I said the Bible is nothing but science. I said Manly P. Hall says that the Bible is an anatomical and physiological book for anyone who can approach it from a scientific standpoint. So he's looking at me crazy, and I said, and if you go to alchemy, I said, where's all this is the science that all the religions came from? I said, you have two triangles. I said, and one's called a blade and one's called the chalice. I said, the blade is man, physical realm, Hades, earth, hell, whatever you want to call it, underworld. I said, the chalice is ethereal knowledge, female twin soul, ethereal energy. Christians go around looking for a cup. It's right there. They just don't know what they're looking for because they don't understand because they come from that are literalists. They think everything's historical. I said these are anthropomorphic stories. I said they represent something else. I said the stories came from Egypt. They were anthropomorphized, which was they was trying to find a way to describe everything. So they had to do it metaphysically, which means take something beyond the physical to explain it to where you can understand it. So they took these stories and they anthropomorphized them. It's like Sumerian stories. They knew the people in antiquity knew that this was energy. So that was air, it was fire, it was water, and they knew what these represented. There's 9 letters in Egyptian mythology. 9 represents everything in the quantum realm. It's 9 vortex-based mathematics. It's not coincidence. And I said, the Star of David. I said, if you take the Star of David and you bring it to science today, you find that the Star of David is the Metatron's cube, which is the geometric generator of everything in existence. It's embedded into the flower of life. You could call that the face of God. I said, so it's all about science. I said, if you go to quantum chromodynamics, you're going to find the same colors. I said, Mary Magdalene is, or not Mary Magdalene, Mary, the Virgin Mary is Virgin of white light. I said, first refraction from that is red and blue. I mean, what do you see Jesus wearing all the time? Red and blue represents, it's the first refracted from Virgin of white light. Red represents mind. This is Adam and Eve, and this is Cain and Abel. The electron. The rib. This is where all these ideas came from. So it all comes from energy sciences, and it's all because man was represented as man represents the cosmos in the miniature form. It was, as we call him, the monad, or the spark. And this spark is the essence of the all in the body into a physical form. So we're fallen angels. He looked at, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I said, well, the Sumerians, I said, they called them the Watchers. They called them the Watchers, the Anunnaki, the Watchers. I said, but the Anunnaki, Anu is a sky god, which is soul, which is energy. And I said, Ki is mother, or is earth, it's matter. You know what I'm saying? So once again, we're back at energy sciences. It's just never had this approach. And I understood this because I came from a religious background. I came from the church. I came from a Southern Baptist church. You got Methodists and the Church of God, and these are the common denominations in the South. I said I came from that. You know, I understood. I was the DC Talk wannabe. I was the Eminem to you. I had Toby McKeon from DC Talk, and I was writing the songs. I was getting to the Bible, and I was finding these verses, try to make songs out of them. And I said, but like Mark Twain said, the cure for Christianity is actually studying the Bible. And as I read into the misinterpretations and contradictions, it made me study where the ideas actually came from. And that's when you run into a problem, because in the ancient world, they didn't have a dichotomy over a God and a force of nature. It was all representative of man himself. The self was everything. The God was using man or the physical realm to manifest, to basically learn from himself, I guess. I mean, it's really hard to put that or to convey that message, because it's not anything that the ancients would have understood. You couldn't come to them with a God in them understood what you said, because to them there wasn't no creation. Like God to them was a verb. So if you come to them with something that you had to worship and everything, they wouldn't understand. They wouldn't know what you meant by that. I said, so and it made me realize, is like, when I grew up, man, and I realized that the Bible wasn't real. Jesus wasn't a real person after it. Like I just said, I was that guy who wanted to, get on stage and tell the world I was sunbeam for Jesus, and I wanted to do these songs and be popular and do all this stuff and represent the Lord and what have you. But and it created a strong anger in me, and I wanted to leave the castle with the keys of its destruction. But as I studied where these ideas came from, it actually became a very beautiful science to me, and it really changed my life. But I guess the way that I had an idea I wanted to destroy the church, like I really did. It was strong. It was embedded into me. And then when I realized that it was a science, it was like, it's just the way that's presented. So like the Masons, if you go to Masonic Lodge, like I told him, if you go to Masonic Lodge, that's the way they do it, and all the symbol and symbolism, but they understood it. It's from a scientific approach. That's the reason why all holy books are welcome within the Masonic Lodges, because they all know that they represent one truth. They're just dialects of one truth. And so the anger kind of went away, and I realized how beautiful it was. So I wanted, so it makes me excited now that, when I talk about it, because I realize, that there's a greater responsibility as humans, and that there is something that's been known to history for a long time, and it's just coming out. I mean, and I was telling them, I was like, the Metatron's cube. I mean, it goes so deep. People just don't realize what they're looking at. I said, because you get into the platonic solids. I said the platonic solids are each sound frequency. So now you're getting into cymatics, because each of those sound frequencies embed the Metatron's cube, which is the geometric generator of everything in existence that fits into the flower of life, which is actually the face of God, if from a geometric standpoint, from point of view or whatever. And I said, so it's all been in science. And I said, and that's what hurts me, is that the world's in a situation it's in because of all these religions, and if they was just told the truth, then maybe we would have a different reality for everyone. And so that's what I actually do, is that I come and I share my ideas with people, on Facebook, and I got a lot of interesting people that I've met, and our ideas correlate, and it's a beautiful thing. But I didn't have that growing up, and so I love everybody and I appreciate everybody. I just wanted to share some ideas and appreciate you.